गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः.
Swami, sadly I missed the first class on this new chapter.
So this chapter is on Dvaita Vivek, differentiation or duality, and so this duality is of two types, and one is the duality from the point of view of, from Ishvara and from Jiva. But the creation of Ishvara and Jiva itself is a duality, and that is what is going to be explained in this. And what is the basic premise is that it is the one reality alone which is expressing as the Ishvara and also as the Jiva. And when that reality associates with Maya, with its own potential, then it is called Ishvara, and when it identifies with the Antakaran, mind, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar, then it is called the Jiva. So that is what we are seeing now, and here it was told in the passages from various scriptures were taken to tell us how this one reality alone is expressing as the Jeev Jagat and Ishvara. And then it was told, but you can read that because you are not there. Now the real topic is beginning, and that is, after having quoted all the scriptures, the main point we have to remember is that we are talking about creation, but because we are talking about creation, it does not mean there is a creation. Because we are talking about waves, creation of waves, it does not mean there is something called wave which is other than water. Because we are talking about an ornament, it does not mean that there is something called ornament which has a reality other than the gold. Similarly, we are talking about the creation which has Jeev, Jagat, Ishvara. Jiva is the individual, Ishvara is the total, and the world. Because we are talking about these three, it does not mean that there is something called these three. Actually, it is that one reality alone on which these three are superimposed. Just like in your case, there is nobody called us, there is no separate entity having a form and identification which is called the father or the son or the husband. It's all you only. Exactly the same way is that one reality which is expressing as, which is, we can't even say expressing as, because in this verse, previous verses, the whole, just like this whole mechanism of explanation is taken only because we, the individual, the jiva, is finding himself to be in a creation, in a world of duality, where he is surrounded by people, animals, plants, etc., the space, air, fire, water, earth, and he wants to understand, who am I? That is the whole, whether you have read the scriptures or you have not read the scriptures. Everyone has this intrinsic urge to know who he really is. And some people are able to come to know, they have become realized. Some people are come to know a little bit. Some people are not able to know at all. Some people are able come to know something totally opposite of what needs to be understood. Like the, the, some people say the world is only for, you know what, for making merry. We don't know if there was past, we don't know there is future, and that is one of the theories. But in Sankhya Shastra, which Vedanta accepts, we say that there is, from the creation point of view, it's a continuous cycle. Huh? So, in that continuous cycle, there is past and there is future. There is a rebirth and there is death, and then again there is a rebirth. But because we are talking about all this, does not mean that actually all this is there. You have to catch what I am saying now. Because all this is there only with respect to the creation. So we are writing a biography of creation called the ornaments. The creation is ornaments. Gold is the substratum. But ornament itself is non-existing. Why? Only gold is. So we are trying to explain that creation which is existing in its own absence.
But it could also be that if it is a projection of the absolute through Maya,
No,
it could be,
absolute cannot project.
yeah, but Maya is a potentiality of the,
Yes.
so through Maya, it's an extension is the Mana Buddhi Chitta Ahankara. So that itself makes it divine, like that itself gives it the status of.
From Ishvara
reality.
Srishti point of view, there is no, there is, yes, there is, all this is there, but there is no identification. There is no identification. But this whole thing that you are talking about, what you are saying, that expression or expansion or whatever is.
Because for every effect there has to be a cause in.
Paramatma is not a cause of anything and it is not an effect of anything. Paramatma is as it is.
Then why does it bring Maya? Why is Maya in there to express it as a potentiality? Where does Maya get the
Because we
potential?
are not explaining what Brahman is. We are not explaining what Brahman is. We are not here for intellectual appreciation. We are here to sort out our mind. And to sort this mind, which is caught up in a web of thinking, a certain type of thinking has to be introduced so that it can get out of thinking process. It can stop identifying with the mind. And for that, and that will never happen till some questions are not resolved. And what are those questions which have to be resolved before the detachment takes place? That is, what is the Ishvara? How did this creation come about? How did this world, the Jiva come about? How did this Ishvara come about? Is there any Ishvara or not? Is there any Jiva or not? We have to come to know. We have to come to understand. Otherwise, anytime you go into meditation or anytime you go into witnessing, this is the virus that will keep bringing you back out of, because it's an unresolved issue. So we find ourselves in this creation which has come out of non-existence, and now we are trying to explain to ourselves that this is how the creation has come. How it has come? It has come. We are using words. Just like in our Amrit Anubhav, we are using the words which are a product of non-existence, which are a product of ignorance. So that which is an effect of ignorance or non-existence cannot remove its cause. So words cannot remove the non-existence. Words cannot remove the Maya. Words cannot remove the ignorance. Understand this. And what is our intellectual appreciation due to? Due to thoughts. Thoughts are words. So the whole purpose of our studies is so that our mind comes to with this continuous contemplation from different angles, it comes to a point where it is stunned or it is unable to come to any conclusion. Because Paramatma is not something that can be concluded by the mind, because na vak gacchati, na mana gacchati. That means Paramatma is that where the speech cannot reach and the mind cannot reach. See? So this whole process is only for the mind, not for establishing Paramatma. See? So mind wants something, some way. So for some people, they have found a way of Kundalini Marg to resolve the mind. Some people have come to the Gyan Marg to resolve the mind. Some people have come to the path of devotion to resolve the mind. See? But ultimately, whether you follow the path of yoga, whether you follow the path of devotion, this understanding that is being given in Panchadashi, that must become clear. Any path you may follow. See? This must be your cognition. So therefore, now in the last verse, it was told, the world was unmanifest Ishvara before manifestation. So what is unmanifest Ishvara?
Unmanifest thoughts.
No. Where are you going? Just because you have to say something, you are saying. Unmanifest Ishvara is Brahman. Another Hiranyagarbha. Just because you have got words in your mind, so you are saying. We are talking about unmanifest Ishvara. That means Ishvara has not become Ishvara yet. So before he became Ishvara, if that was the process, who was he? He was the Paramatma. He was the indivisible truth. Ishvara is Ishvara only with respect to Maya, only with respect to Prakriti. Now during manifestation, the Ishvara became expanded as names and forms in the objective world. They are distinctly clear in the gross world called Virat. Virat is what? All the names and forms that are in this creation. So towards that, this next verse is, what is this? Virat is associated with the gross world. What is that? Viran manur naro gavaha, Viran manur naro gavaha, Kharashva javayastata, Kharashva javayastata, Pipilikavadhi dvandvam, Pipilikavadhi dvandvam, Iti vajasane yinaha, Iti vajasane yinaha. The Virat identified with total gross world includes Manu, human beings, cows, donkeys, horses, goats, sheep, and up to ants in the form of pairs. This is accepted by the followers of Vajasaneya branch of Vedas, that is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. See? Maharishi Vedvyas. What is Vedvyas? Why is he given the name Vedvyas? Because he took those Chatushloki Bhagavad, 4 verses of Supreme, and he expanded them into the 36 Puranas. Vyas. Vyas means expansion. The one Om, it expands into the various vowels and consonants. One unicellular organism, what is it called? Zygote, or when you conceive, it's a single. It keeps multiplying, eventually you are here now today. And you are not stopped expanding. You are continuously expanding even today. Physically also, mentally also. Continuously information is going in, not necessarily only from the satsang, but anywhere. So many new things. You say, no, it's the same thing. No, this morning you have never seen 7-1 loss of Brazil. You got it. See? So world may be the same, but your experiences are continuously getting collected because everything is changing. So no, you are continuously expanding, and that is what is, if you expand correctly or in an integrated way, then it takes you to maturity. See? So expansion is the nature of everything in the creation. You cannot stop away from it, stop it. In Yoga Vasishtha, there is creation, there is maintenance, and there is destruction. So once something has come into existence, it will keep expanding. Till when? Till it gets destroyed by time. See? So continuously that process is continuous. So similarly, this Ishvara, out of his potentiality, created the entire creation, and then when he gets associated with the entire creation, he is called Virat. With the gross creation, he is called Virat Purusha. With everything, all the names and forms. Pure consciousness became expanded, that is, it became many without the loss of oneness. See? So without the loss of oneness. Have you lost yourself when you become father, mother, daughter, sister, brother? You have not. But you feel sometimes. You feel sometimes. Why? That is because of identification. Now that's the next topic. Why Ishvara does not feel the loss of even after becoming many, and why we feel the loss. Why do we feel the loss? Because Ishvara is not identified, we are identified. That is the main, that we'll get into the topic when we get there. So in this way, before creation it was only Ishvara Tattva. After creation, the same Paramatma expresses itself as name and form and objectifies. So before creation it was only Ishvara. Who is Ishvara now? Ishvara, pure consciousness, is called Ishvara with respect to Maya. What is Maya? Unmanifest creation is Maya. Unmanifest creation is Maya. Because once it manifests, then it is not Maya. Then it is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Then it is the subtle or the gross. Isn't it? So here, when they are using the word Virat, that Maya, by the will of the Ishvara, has become the gross creation, all the names and forms, and Ishvara, identified with all the names and forms in the creation, is called Virat. And it's not only the names and forms, it's also the past, future, the cycle, everything is included in him. Te Viradadishu Sphute, these names and forms came into being distinctively as the total gross world called Virat. And understand this also, that Maya cannot create anything by herself. She needs the help of the conscious principle. So when he prods her, she becomes many. Again, go back one more step. Maya is part and parcel of Ishvara himself. The potential that is within me, or that I express, is not other than me. It did not come from outside. If I go to a gym and my potential is to have a 10 inches bicep muscle, it did not come from outside which was pasted. It came from within. The muscle developed from within. The potential, the strength developed from within. The ability to think, to contemplate, to meditate, to understand, to intellectualize, to logicalize, to feel emotions, it has not come from outside. It is all coming from inside only. And some things are there which we don't realize we are having those feelings and emotions, but in a certain situation they are able to express, and we are surprised. Oh, I didn't know I had that, the, that I could feel in this manner, isn't it? So where has it come from? It's come from within. Similarly, for Ishvara also, from Ishvara, from Paramatma, the potentiality came out. The moment Paramatma became aware of his potentiality, he is called as Ishvara. Then that Ishvara alone, with his potentiality, makes the gross world, and with respect to the gross world, he is called the Virat. This is the process.
Is it same as Jiva, Virat?
No. I'll explain. In this way, the totality and individuality were created. Okay, here they have said the creation extended further when the total gross body is owned by the consciousness called Vaishvanara. So, what is Vaishvanara? The total gross body. Total gross bodies are owned, word underline, owned, is identified with. So when that Vaishvanara is identified with only one gross body, he becomes Jiva. When you are identified with total gross bodies, you are Vaishvanara. So the system, if you want to compare Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti, Jiva is called, here it is with one body, the consciousness with the identified with one gross body is called Vishwa. The one with identified with total gross body is called Vaishvanara. Consciousness identified with one mind alone is called Taijasa. The same mind identified with total minds comes to recognize that mind cannot be one per person. Just like we think that space is one per house. It cannot be one per house. We understand that space is one alone. Just because we are built was, you cannot make a partition in space. When you understand this, that you are that consciousness, and you come to cognize this, that mind cannot be one per person. It is one alone. And the moment you see this play, then you are no longer Taijasa. You become Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is equal to Brahmaji. This is the stage. Total mind, identification with total mind is called Hiranyagarbha. Identification with individual mind is called Taijasa. Then same way you go further, the causal body, that consciousness which is identified with one causal body. What is causal body? Again, it can be you can name it as one deep sleep state. It is called Pradnya. And that consciousness identifies with the total deep sleep state. When you understand that deep sleep state, an empty mind, everyone cannot have one separate empty mind. When the mind is zero, it's only one. When this cognition comes, that same consciousness is called Ishvara. So these are the three stages. This is the way at the Jiva level and the Ishvara level. It will come afterwards. The Jiva level and the Ishvara level. We are talking about consciousness. Our focus is not on creation. Don't mistake. Our topic is not Maya. Our topic is not creation. Our topic is that how through this thinking we can come to know the consciousness. That is our topic. So when I say these various names, it is the consciousness is called by these different names. Vishwa, Vaishvanara, Taijas, Hiranyagarbha, Prajna, Ishvara. Creation remains the same. then all the creations enumerated above are always in the form of pairs, male and female. Once the Paramatma recognizes potentiality, from that moment onwards, Ishvara and Prakriti or Ishvara and Maya, from then on, everything that is created as if is always in the pair of opposites. And there is perfect balance in this creation. We may not see it because we don't have the eyes to see it. But in this creation, there is always perfect balance. So in this way, up to this shloka, the authority of all the four Vedas is quoted to show how the world came into being and in the form of Dvaitam, duality. The second aspect of the creation is the Jiva, which is also created by the Paramatma. How is the Sarvajna, Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Vyapi Paramatma is reduced to Alpajna, Alpa Shaktiman, Alpa Vyapi, Sukhi Dukhi, Jivatma? This subject is taken up in the next shloka. So how come this eternal, undying, unborn, all-knowing, always happy Paramatma suddenly becomes little knowing, having birth, dying, complaining, never happy, individual? How is this? How does this happen? Both are consciousness. He is also consciousness. I am also consciousness. But how did this fall come about?
Added mind.
Yes. So how did this fall come about? Now that is the topic. Krutva rupantaram jaivam. Krutva rupantaram jaivam. Dehe pravishadishvaraha. Dehe pravishadishvaraha. Iti tashrutaya prahuhu. Iti tashrutaya prahuhu. Jivatvam pranadharanat. Jivatvam pranadharanat. The Ishvara, having reduced to the status of Jiva, entered the body. In this way, by supporting the pranas, the Jivahood is attained by Ishvara. So say the scriptures. So what is that has happened? He entered into the body. Arey, but he was already there in the body. Can a body come just by itself? Without consciousness, can it come? No. What is a stone? Is it not a body? What is a dead body? Is it not a body? It is a body.
How does it come alive?
That was not the question.
It's a confusion there.
That was not the question. So body can be, there are so many. Ornament is also a body. The sofa is also a form. Form means body. So a child also is born. It is just a form. That's it. It's a body. Life, he is not born with the life in it. After a few seconds, the life comes into it. Isn't it? And that is what is said here. That Jaivam Rupantaram Krutva, he assumed change in the form as Jiva. What is the change referred to? That this Paramatma, who is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Rupa, he allows himself or gets attached to one form. Therefore, the change in the Jivahood is in the form of Alpajna, Alpa Shaktiman and Alpa Vyapi. Meaning, Alpajna, knowing only little knowledge or not knowing the total knowledge. Alpa Shaktiman is aware of only a little bit of strength, not the total strength. And Alpa Vyapi, he feels I am pervading only this much space, and he forgets that he is the all-pervading principle. Who? The consciousness which has come into this body starts thinking in this manner. What is spirituality? Spirituality is this thinking has to be cut, and instead this consciousness has to remind itself that I am the all-pervading principle, that I am the all-knowing principle, that I am the all-powerful principle. See? Dehe pravishata, thus having changed into alpatva, he entered the individual bodies. And this cannot be stopped. This cannot be stopped. This is a phenomena which is taking place whether you like it or not. You cannot stop it from not happening. Bodies will be born, people will be born, consciousness will be identified with the body, there will be individuals. So this is a phenomena. Ititah shrutayah prahuhu. All the Upanishads quoted earlier thus state that after creating different names and forms and different bodies, Ishvara entered the body and attained Jivatma Bhav. What is Jivatma Bhav? See, to give up ego and come to Jivatma Bhav is also a good stage. Eventually it will lead to witnessing. So we have gone even further down. We are not even at Jivahood. We have become egoistic. You have to give up the ego and be a Jiva. From the Jiva, then there is a possibility of moving to being the witness. From being the witness, there is a possibility to merge into the pure consciousness, Paramatma. But we have not even we have not even recognized that phenomena which is taking place all the time. We are still into thinking. We are still into identifying with everything. Prana Dharanat, having entered the body, it is this conscious principle which supports the breathing. It is this conscious principle having entered the body, Ishvara became its owner and sustained it by the pranas. So now don't think Ishvara entered so in the body the Ishvara is there. Yes, it is Ishvara there, but are you recognizing the Ishvara? Then question is, why am I not recognizing the Ishvara if he entered into the body? Is the wave recognizing the water? Because without water, wave cannot be a wave. Why it is not recognizing? Because its obsession is with its form and name. Its attention is on its form. It has to wean its attention away from its form and focus it on the waters which are unfocusable. Because water has no form. Or ocean is too large a form for that teeny mini wave to think about. But that attempt has to be made by that wave. Attempt has to be made. And once it does that, then in that unthinkable process of that wave, expansion comes about. Disassociation from the body happens. By thinking about the body, by being the body, by continuing to feel that I as this body, to think that I have understood what ocean is, to think that I have understood what the Paramatma is, the divine is, it is only we are fooling ourselves. We have to have direct experience, not just an idea. A thought of reality is not equal to reality. A thought of expansiveness is not equal to expansiveness. We have to experience it. A thought of chocolate is not equal to chocolate. You have to directly experience it. So similarly is in our case. See? And therefore when they say that Ishvara entered the body and supported the pranas, that is the phenomena. And that Ishvara who entered the body and supporting the pranas is called the Jiva. Because once he enters the body, he is no longer Ishvara. Essentially, he is Ishvara. See? You're getting it?
Is it because the identification takes place?
That's the phenomena. That's why it has happened. That Ishvara has. But this entry is an entryless entry. Huh? Now, because now your attention is on the creation. Oh, Ishvara came into me and the thing like this happened. It's like the wave got formed and the ocean and the waters entered into the or the ocean, the Ishvara entered into the wave. Is it possible? It is not possible. But for that idiotic wave, some sequence has to be given. So this is the sequence. This is, oh, they entered. So we are creating a linear sequence where there is no linear sequence possible. It's a spontaneous, it's a phenomena. Phenomena is never in a linear way. It happens.
Is it similar with the mind where we think that the thoughts are in the mind, but the thoughts come through the mind? Or this mind, it's already unmanifest in the mind, but actually mind and when there is a thought, then the mind appears. Is it that way?
Exactly. Yeah. When the thought appears, the mind appears. If there is no thought, there is no mind. But we have created another step in that. We say there is empty mind. So that also is a thought. Empty mind is a thought. Even that has to be given up. This is where a lot of yogis get stuck. They keep looking at the void. There is nothing called void. There is nothing there. What are you looking at? But if you say, I am looking at something, then you have created something imaginary. What is that imaginary? The void is the imaginary. That's where the teacher is required. So that the seeker is able to recognize the conscious, the Chidabhas, the conscious space. It is not the inert space. If your attention is on inert space, emptiness, then it will be Jada Samadhi. All the shift has to, instead of looking outward into your mind or looking at the mind that has become empty, you have to focus on the subject. Who is the watcher? Who's the looker, observer? This thought reaches its completion in the next sloka when the jiva is defined in the most beautiful way. This clear understanding of who is the jiva is essential for spiritual sadhana. Without knowing who is doing the sadhana and for what purpose, the sadhana will only be groping in the dark. Chaitanyam yadadishthanam, Chaitanyam yadadishthanam, linga dehascha punaha, linga dehascha punaha, chitchaya linga dehastha, chitchaya linga dehastha, tat sangho jiva uchyate, tat sangho jiva uchyate. The jiva is an assemblage of the substratum. Chaitanyam yadadishthanam is the first one, that is the substratum. Conscious adhishthanam, substratum, conscious substratum. Second is linga dehascha, second is the subtle body, and the third is chitchaya, and chitchaya is the consciousness reflected in the subtle body. Chitchaya linga dehastha. Linga deha is the subtle body, chitchaya is the reflection, reflecting in the subtle body. Reflection in the subtle body. Tat sangho jiva uchyate. This mixture. What is the three mixture? First is the substratum, second is the subtle body, and third is the reflection of consciousness in the subtle body. These three put together is equal to jiva. This is what you and me are, essentially. If you come to this point also, fantastic. Witnessing will begin. Ego will become weakened. If you keep thinking about this also, again and again and again and again.
The subtle body here is mind and
Yes,
intellect.
mind, intellect. Some places they take mind, intellect and breath. But it does not matter. Mind and intellect. So what is the substratum? The pure consciousness. What is the subtle body? Mind and intellect. And what is the third one? The reflection of consciousness in the subtle body.
Isn't that same as reflected consciousness?
It is. But then your attention is on the reflection. But how? Where is that reflection coming? It is happening due to the subtle body. Can it happen in the causal body? No. Is it taking place? Is the reflection taking place in the causal body? Yes, but it is not. It is too dull. It is too inert. It is too dark in order to reflect the consciousness. Is the reflection of consciousness taking place in the body? Yes. This is too gross for reflecting the consciousness. So where can you catch the consciousness? In the subtle body. In that subtle body also, not in an agitated mind, but in a calm and tranquil mind. In a sattvic mind, you can catch that consciousness.
Causal body is
Deep sleep. Gross body is this, subtle body is the mind and intellect, and causal body is the deep sleep state, or the bliss sheath. Bliss sheath. So in this way, understand.
Where is the causal body in this?
Pardon me?
Where is the causal
No, we are not. I am telling you, it's not given there. We are only talking about how the reflection came. I am explaining to you because you asked that can it be called reflected consciousness? Yes, it is reflected consciousness. But reflected where? Is it called reflected consciousness because it is reflecting in causal body or gross body or subtle body? So that clarity I was giving. So it is called reflected consciousness because it can be caught in the subtle body, even though it is reflecting in the gross body also. It is reflecting. Is the sun getting reflected? Are the bricks of this house able to reflect the sun? No. But that same brick you take and you polish and polish and polish, make it like a mirror, it will reflect. See? Same way. It becomes finer. The substratum or pure consciousness or Shuddha Chaitanya is without limitations. On this limitless substratum is introduced the element of limitation called Antakaran or subtle body. What is that Antakaran? Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar. This is also Ishvara Srishti, huh? Having Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar is also Ishvara Srishti. Individuality has not started yet. It has not started yet. That will come after 2-3 verses. Till here, it is the phenomena. You did not create the mind, intellect, memory and ego. It was there when you started your life, isn't it? So who created? It is the Lord who created. Third, in this Antakarana is the reflection of pure consciousness. These three factors put together are called as Jiva. Again, one more point to be clarified. When we talk about Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar, Ahankar is not equal to ego. Ahankar is not equal to ego here. Ahankar is that principle which keeps the body together? Ahankar is that principle which keeps the breath going. Ahankar is that principle which keeps all the organs functioning. You don't have to apply any willpower. You don't have to apply, even think, Acha, now I have, Acha, stomach, please start functioning. It doesn't, it happens, isn't it? In deep sleep also, when you are totally detached from the mind also, because mind has become zero, still the breathing is going on and the bodily functions and the blood is flowing, everything is going on. Who is making that happen? It is that ahankar. Even if you come to that, but we are too miserable. We can't even come to that.
Well, the other one is the individual ego.
Individual ego.
This
is not the individual. We are not talking. When Ishvara created Mana Buddhi Chitta Ahankar, that Ahankar is not the individual ego. Individual ego is the one which identifies with this body as I am this body, that's it and nothing else. See? It identifies with all the relations and becomes miserable on account of them. Ahankar doesn't become miserable. It's doing its job to the best of its ability to keep this whole mechanism functioning as long as it can. As long as it can support the pure consciousness. And when, as we grow old, its ability to reflect will keep decreasing, isn't it?
It is consciousness only.
Pardon me?
It is consciousness only.
What?
Ahankar.
Yes, it is consciousness.
Yeah.
But that aspect of consciousness which takes care of the body. That aspect of consciousness. See? It is that I. See? Your example is given. This can be explained by the example of the reflection of an electric bulb in a glass of water. The glass container is the gross body in which is contained the water of thoughts, antakarana. In this water of antakarana is reflected the light of consciousness. The Shuddha Chaitanya, which was infinite and unlimited, when referred with reference to the antakarana, becomes the jiva, a finite limited expression. That electricity which is flowing infinitely everywhere, it is there in the space, but when it expresses through one bulb, it becomes limited. That sun, even though it is, if there is no wave on the ocean, the sun is there, moon is there, what will you see?
perfect.
One moon, isn't it? You will see one moon. If the waves come, what will you see? Many sparkles of moon on every wave. That means that same moon has as if become many because of many waves. Isn't it? That's exactly what is taking place. We are all waves in the consciousness. Consciousness is always one. It can never become many. But when you take these type of examples, as I have taken this, no waves on the ocean, perfect reflection, just because there are waves and there are many sparkles does not mean there are many moons. But that is our perception, isn't it? Same is our perception when we are looking into the world, that so many living beings are there, but actually there is only one consciousness. This we have to recognize. The Shuddha Chaitanya, which was infinite and unlimited, when referred with the reference to Antakarana, becomes the Jiva, a finite limited expression. From this can be inferred the spiritual sadhana, which is to undo the limitations and transcend it. So what is the spiritual sadhana? to undo this knot of identification. What is this identification? Identification with that I am only this body. You did not create it. You were born with this phenomena. Nobody taught you, or you may say taught or not taught, but you find yourself that you are identified with the body for no fault of yours. So the whole journey is to detach again and go beyond. And for that detachment to take place and to transcend this body, breath, mind, intellect and the antakaran is the scriptures written. All the scriptures are only for that purpose. And the easiest way to bring this about, rather than puffing and pumping and energizing, etc., it is to put your attention on that unthinkable Ishvara. Put your attention on that. Put attention on the total. Because the individual is also here, the total is also here, and the infinite is also here. When you touch a wave, the individual, you are touching the ocean, the total, and you are touching the water, the infinite. Isn't it? Exactly the same way. Wave is nothing but the ocean. So through a wave you can touch the ocean, and through the wave you can touch the infinite also. Similarly, through this wave, through this body, which is a phenomena. Can you stop a wave? No, it is a phenomena on the ocean. So through this phenomena, transcend your individual limitation, transcend your identification with this one body, one mind, one intellect, one antakaran, to recognize that you are something more. So if you can't go straight away to Paramatma, the infinite, then an intermediate step is there. What is that? Identified with the total. So from individual identification, you drop that identification, identify with the total. And nature is taking you in that way anyway. When you are born, initially you are absolutely happy and in the sense no attachments, then attachment with mom, then attachment with parents, then brothers, sisters, etc., etc., then wife, then in-laws, then the extended family, then the children, then the children's husband or wife, then your grandchildren. You are expanding. Nature is making you expand. That's the phenomena. But how to not get lost in that phenomena and maintain yourself as that substratum is the spiritual sadhana. Ishvara Srishti created the human beings. The Jiva Srishti creates all limiting relationships of father, mother, etc. We don't get disturbed by the I which is maintaining the body together. Why body disintegrates at the time of death? Because this I has left, the consciousness has left. So this I is helpful because it's keeping the body together. If the body is there, then the mind is there. If body is not there, mind is not possible. See? So that is not the ego. That is not the ego. Ego is the one which has got likes and dislikes, which has honor and insult, which is having the relationships, which is worried about sin and merit. It is worried about forgiveness and compassion, love and hate. That fellow is the ego. So what will be your journey then? From being an egoistic person, first bring your attention to this I, conscious principle. Answer will not come if you are putting your attention on Prakriti. By putting attention on body, on breath, or mind and intellect, answer will not come. Utilize the mind to put attention on the I. The first stage will be all your relational eyes will drop away and you will come to this I and recognize that because of this I, the whole body is together. The more you keep putting attention on that I, you will recognize that this I is not one per person, but it is one alone, functioning through all the bodies. Continue keeping the attention on the I and being with it as I, even that will go away and abidance will be there. And that abidance, that last step, for some people it happens during the lifetime, for some people it happens at the last breath. And that is okay. Because to have recognized that this I is the same I which is expressing through the whole creation is the vision of the gopis. There the I is taken as Krishna, isn't it? So that itself is a great, what do you call, there is no understanding there. That is a great state of being. That's a great state of being. It's effortless and it's happening to them. It cannot be brought about by your thinking. If at all you want to employ thinking, you apply it to seek who is this I. Always put attention on the divinity or the conscious principle or the spirit. Don't ever ask questions about Maya or the forms or why this world came or space, air, fire, water. We can use them as examples, but always our focus should be on consciousness, not on matter. What is matter?
Manifest consciousness.
No. Yes, but that is the ultimate. But what is matter? Or what is the quality of that manifest consciousness?
Matter is temporary.
Good. Matter is that which is temporary. Matter is that which is continuously changing. Matter is that which has a birth and death. Matter is that which is binding. Matter is that which is unstable. So, if you see, this topic was very difficult for me to understand initially. So what I did when I was in the ashram, because I was all exposed to this knowledge just like a bang suddenly. So to make my mind, I wrote down all these points. I still have the notes. I wrote down what is matter. And when I got that clear, and then I applied it on myself. Is my body matter? Are my eyes matter? Is my mind matter? And I kept, this was the definition, that which is changing. And I kept checking. Because my biggest problem was I could not work out what is subjective. They used to say subject and object. There are only two words, but I must understand subject as I know. That was my difficulty. But one day it clicked. And I was just crying. It was such a big burden. So many months of thinking, suddenly got lifted. It was not just in the mind anymore. It was my experience. It was me, not even my experience. It was me, the subject. From then onwards, any position, any place, you can straight away see who you are and who you are not. You don't have to try anymore after that.
But isn't that the biggest secret, is just to be?
Correct. to stay established in Ishvara Srishti as human being and to ignore and rise above all other relationships which limit and shackle is the sadhana to go back to the source. See? Ramchandraji's problem in Yoga Vashishta is the same. He has become despondent. Why? He sees what is this? Whole world is continuously changing. Nobody is ever happy. The more I do, still there is so much more to do. The more I eat, every day I eat food, but my hunger is never satiated. Every time the mind is seeking joys from this thing, that thing, it's never ending. And he says, he loses the plot. He says, this world, I don't want to do anything with this world. And then his teacher teaches him what? How to be that pure consciousness and yet function in the world. And that's when Ram's life begins. First by going and helping Vishwamitra to kill the demons. But this was his problem. How do I marry the two? So you cannot marry the two. But what you can do is allow the matter to function. It has its own process. It is already programmed. The matter is programmed. Consciousness can never be programmed. So recognize yourself as the consciousness in and through all activities. Don't even once dilute that. And allow the life to... Life is not your thoughts. Life is the consciousness. Let that function through the matter, through the mind, through the body, through the breath, through your actions. Let it function. You come up, you get out of the way. Then that is what eventually after 100,000 verses, Ramchandraji got the message. What is the factor that reduced the infinite adhishthanam, the Shuddha Chaitanya, to the finitude of the jiva? This point is explained. What is being told is, how does this Paramatma gets deluded? Maheshwari tu Mayaya, Maheshwari tu Mayaya, Tasya Nirmana Shaktivat, Tasya Nirmana Shaktivat, Vidyate Moha Shaktischa, Vidyate Moha Shaktischa, Tam Jivam Mohayat Yaso, Jivam Mohayat Yasau. As the divine potentiality, Maya, has the power of creation, so also it has the power of delusion. This power of delusion deludes the jiva. So two powers it has. What is that? One is the power of creation, meaning Maya itself multiplies into Sattva, Rajas, Tamas itself, and it's by the will of the Ishvara alone. But as it multiplies into many names and forms, along with that it has got one more. What is that? It is able to delude. Delude whom? Not the Ishvara. Ishvara, he is the master. So he doesn't get deluded by her. But the jiva, he gets deluded by her. And therefore, he feels, I am at the mercy of the creation. The day you turn this whole equation around, there and then the Bhagavan is expressing through you. This Maya is called Sankalpa in Aitreya Upanishad, Tapasya in Taittiriya Upanishad, Ikshana in Chandogya Upanishad, and expansion in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So these are just different names of the same Shakti. And therefore, Anubhavanji always says, never take sankalpas in life. Never say, I vow to do this. I vow not to eat food for 10 days. No. Be like Krishna. He says, I vow not to pick up any weapons in the battlefield. And yet when Bhishmacharya came, he got down and he lifted the chakra. He says, I will. He says, but you took a sankalpa. He says, I take sankalpa only to break. I take vows only to break. But when do I break them? When the righteousness is getting disturbed. If you are a barrier in the establishment of righteousness, then I'll break that vow. See? So, moha shakti cha vidyate asau tam jivam mohayati. It is called the power of delusion. So, there are two, power of creation and power of delusion. This moha shakti deludes the jiva, and that jiva is the cause for the Paramatma being reduced to the level of jivatma. Who is this? So is the jiva other than Ishvara or Paramatma? No. Then he has allowed this consciousness that I have allowed the Maya to affect me, to delude me, into considering that I am only this body. Nobody has forced you to think this way, but you have allowed yourself to think this way. If you have allowed yourself to think this way, then undo it. You allow yourself to get married, undo it, get divorced. Isn't it? We get attached to things, to houses, to cars, to objects, and we find some strength within ourselves sometime later, and we are able to divorce with that object, isn't it? If we are not, you must have seen some cases, the hoarders, whole house is filled with old food, stale food, this, that, and no place to move, no place to sleep. Whole house is filled up. They are not able to detach. I have seen 60, 70-year-old people still keeping things from childhood. Pathetic. Why? They have not forgotten that. They have not let go of the childhood. They have not let go of their teenage years. They have not let go of their youthful years. We must let go, complete yesterday, today, when you go to sleep, complete today and everything till the past, and go to sleep and wake up as a fresh person. But little bit lingering is there. That is the problem. So this delusion, what is that delusion? That delusion is expressing as I am only this body. This is the delusion. And under no circumstances, no data can prove this statement. No data can prove this statement. This same Moha Shakti creates the duality of Jiva and Jagat. Thus Paramatma becomes divided into the seer who is limited by the seen and the seen which is limited by the seer. The subject is subservient to the object and object is subservient to the subject. So object cannot appear without the subject and subject cannot be a subject without the object. Without getting married you cannot call yourself husband. Can you? Without having a child you cannot call yourself a father or mother. See? Once a brahmachari was there, just passed out from the school, ashram, and he was posted somewhere in Chennai or Coimbatore or something. And a lot of Vriddhashram was there, and in the Vriddhashram Vridhashram means old age home run by the organization. And he had a room there and he used to take the classes. Yeah, we was there for a few years, and over the years, one by one, everyone was conking off. And there were times when someone was very sick, they would not come to the class. But he will still sit and give lecture. Whether there is someone there or not there, he will still give the lecture. And with the same gusto. Some brahmacharis, other brahmacharis came, they said, oh, what is this? Is he mad? Is he going crazy? Why is he doing this? Because see, satsang is not for teaching people. Satsang is for yourself, isn't it? It is not for teaching people. You do satsang, I am speaking because I am benefiting the most. You are listening because you are benefiting the most. Each one of you. That way, if it is taken, he said, I don't need only human beings. There are many gods also sitting here who want to do satsang, so I am speaking to them. Because they are giving me the opportunity to reflect. See? The limitation means mutual dependence. Just like these three are mutually dependent. If you take one leg off, this tripod will fall. If you take the wife off, the husband will fall. If you take one leg off, your body cannot walk. Exactly same way. If you take the Jagat out, or if you take the Jeev Jagat Ishwar, if you take one thing out, if Jiva realizes there is nothing called Jiva, the whole premise on which he had built the creation for himself, in one go, it's gone. In the Jivatma Bhav, the sense of limitation and the limitation exist in mutual appreciation, so the conditioned consciousness gets deluded into believing. See? So if you can observe that this phenomena is functioning, then it is good. You are the witness. If the witness gets deluded by the phenomena, gets identified with the phenomena, what is the phenomena again? What is the phenomena again? Of the pure consciousness entering into this body, reflecting in the subtle body, isn't it? This is the phenomena. But if he gets identified with the phenomena, it leads to I am only this body. If he remains undisturbed, he watches the whole thing going on, then it's okay. Somewhere within this lifetime or in future life, liberation will take place. Stand apart. So the conditioned consciousness gets deluded into believing. What is that believing? I am this body. Conditioned consciousness is equal to Jiva Bhav is a phenomena. It is Ishvara Srishti. The Lord, and this Srishti we have just explained. So the Lord himself entered into this body. It is Ishvara Srishti. But believing, identifying, that is not Ishvara Srishti. Maya is defined in different ways according to the Sankhya philosophy. It is the power of the Lord as other than Paramatma, so it ends in Dvaita. According to Vedanta, Maya means Maya, which is not. That imaginary power invoked to explain the world. According to Sant Jnaneshwar, it is incomplete knowledge. This definition does not allow the existence of ignorance, avidya, etc. And this is the topic which we have seen in Amritanubhav. When we say an incomplete knowledge, which means it is knowledge, but our knowledge is a part of knowledge, but it is incomplete. Jiva, the wave, is nothing but water, but its knowledge that I am water is not complete. Yeah? Like that. The classic scriptural comparison of this moha is to the parrot on the nalika, the stick inside a rotating tube. To eat the fruit suspended from the tube, the parrot has to sit on it, and it keeps rotating the tube thinking that it is going to slip and fall. It forgets that it can fly. Same is our case. We forget that we can fly. We forget that we can transcend. We forget that we can be the witness. We forget that we can be disidentified from the body and the antakaran. But instead, what do? We keep holding on to the stick of life, of the world, of this body, stick of this body, and it keeps rotating. Birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth. Do's, don'ts, likes, dislikes. It goes on. We have to transcend. So why has that happened? Because we have forgotten. What have we forgotten? Who we essentially are. If we keep thinking about the world, will we remember that we are consciousness? No. We have to think of consciousness. We have to think of the subject matter that we are, the essence that we are. That principle, when it go, what is that which leaves us when we die? That fellow, that thing, that object, that consciousness, whatever, that spirit, whatever you may call it, that we have to catch. Then alone the journey will begin. Otherwise, we are just fooling ourselves by being caught up in the world again and again and again. What are the consequences of the Jivatma Bhav? The next sloka answers this point and concludes the theme of Ishvara Srishti. Mohad anishatam prapya magno vapushi shochati isha srishtamidam dvaitam sarvamuktam samasataha. The jiva loses the Ishwarahood due to this power of delusion and thereafter gets identified with individual body and suffers the experience of limited existence. This is in short the duality created by the Ishvara. So when Ishvara gets identified with when the consciousness, because pure consciousness, Paramatma has got nothing to do with it. Ishvara has created the creation with the help of Maya Shakti or Prakriti, isn't it? And then having created the creation, he enters the creation. After creating the creation, he enters the creation. When till here it is okay. But the moment he identifies with what he has created or what he has entered, that is where his fall, that is where Ishvara is no longer now recognizes himself as Ishvara. He has now the scriptures or the Vedas, the scriptures, they call that same Ishvara by another name as Jiva. Just like you are essentially the man, but once you get married, people call you or you call yourself the husband. Exactly the same way. Because now you are associated with someone. And in this way, a bachelor is free, a husband is not free. He has to listen to the dictates of the Maya. See? So if you are listening to your wife, you are Jiva. If your wife is listening to you, you are Ishvara. Because Ishvara is controlling Maya, no? A point to ponder upon.
Is it the other way around?
Right?
Is it the other way around?
In your life?
No, no.
Then where?
Ishvara becomes egoistic.
Ishvara can never become egoistic. In Ishvara Srishti, there is nothing called ego.
Ego, yeah.
There is nothing called ego. There is only phenomena. And that phenomena ends with him entering the body. Till here it is okay. And if you come to this point, you will understand this is the Ram Leela or the Krishna Leela that is going on. But once the ego comes in, then we forget, we become disconnected from the Leela that is taking place. Because we become identified. We become an individual. Because the jiva got identified with the gross body and thereafter he is subject to misery, the whole downfall starts with this moha leela, which is so fantastic and unconquerable that it seems valuable gems in stone pieces, wife in an assemblage of bone, blood, fat, etc., and considers the body made up of 5 great elements as I, the Atma. This is the delusion. Kate kanta kaste putraha iva vichitraha ativa vichitra. It is very funny, this world. Who is the wife, who is the child, who is the son, who is the what? Nothing is ours. And yet he starts, out of delusion, he starts believing, underline. He starts believing, I am only this body. I am a husband of only this wife. He got the joke. You're too serious.
No, I was thinking of something else. And after a minute, I thought, yeah, I do tell him sometimes that I'm your only wife.
Isha srishtam idam sarvam dvaitam samasataha uktam. This identification with the body and then undergoing all the consequent experiences is called duality, which is created by Ishvara, has been described briefly so far. Now from this point onwards, verse 14 onwards, we will see what is Jiva Srishti. So Ishvara Srishti is still the phenomena of Ishvara entering the body and identifying with the body as the jiva. And now he has fallen from that pristine position called Ishvara as if now as jiva. Now let's see what Jiva Srishti is and how we complicate ourselves even more in this Jiva Srishti. That will be our topic in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.